Well, I'm with Gary McPherson before our league game against Chippenham on Saturday. Gav, another good chance to open up at home with a first league win here. What are you expecting on Saturday?
It's National South, hugely difficult game. I understand why you might say it, looking at league positions and stuff like that, but Gary does a really good job down there, and I think it's going to be a really tough game. Decent side can mix up their game, so it doesn't matter who we're playing. It's a tough game that we're going to have to be good at.
Well, it's all about momentum, and I asked you this after the cup game. Do you think there's something to be said for perhaps taking the form of the cup game, scoring some goals at last into the Chippenham match, confidence-wise?
Yeah, I think it can. I think just cup wins can, especially FA Cup wins, can create a buzz, can create confidence, gives people something to talk to, looking forward to. We'll talk about the next round, but my view would be if I'm more focused on Chippenham, to be honest with you.
Yeah, of course.
Before we get to that. I think last week would have done us the power of good. I think we still need to take more of a ratio of chances. That's me being really picky, but that's the reality of it. But 3-0 away from home against a local rival as such is not to be sniffed at. So I think the boys will be super confident going into the game, but that's no different to any game that we've had here this season. I'll be honest with you, every game we feel we can win. And as I've said so many times, we've not got as many points as we should have, and that's really down to us rather than necessarily opposition.
You took the words out of my mouth. I mean, there's an argument to suggest we should have more, we deserve more than we have already. I guess the league table doesn't lie, but we're not in a bad position. A couple of wins and a win on Saturday against a team in and around where we are pushes us up the league, and that in itself is a confidence booster.
Yeah, listen. Of course we're going for the win. Of course we are. Of course we're confident about winning the football match. It's not lost on me that it'll be a really difficult task. We've got some really good players down there, and we will have to plan and prepare really well for it, and that's what we'll do. And that will be extended on tonight in respect of our planning. But we're confident. Of course we are. It wouldn't, as I say, it wouldn't matter who we had coming down here. We're confident, and we'll. As I've always said, that teams are coming here to win games. They've got to come here and win games. Well, in some respects, I haven't seen that play out as such. We haven't been dominated here, really and truthfully. What we've done is managed to sort of snatch losses in some respects, or draws in some respects, from Slough, from the jaws of victory or the jaws of a draw. And we've got to cut that out of our game, because that's something that is unacceptable.
Yeah, some people would look at the league table and think, well, we could, perhaps should, have beaten Western. Now we're playing a team at the other end of the league, and therefore, the points should come easy. But it doesn't work like that in this league sometimes, does it? No,
not at all. Not at all. I would never ever look at a team anywhere in our division, wherever they lie at the moment. There were teams at the top at this stage last season. We finished way down the league, because the league is such that if you go on a poor run, or you have a poor run of form, then you will drop. And teams will take advantage of that. So I don't really look at league tables at the moment. I look at it in isolation. I look at Chippenham in isolation, and I recognise what they do really well. I also recognise what we think we can go about on Saturday to exploit, and it'll be a tough game.
Can you give the fans any optimism about a couple of the players who are missing the cup game, in terms of whether we might see them back in the team, or at least in the squad on Saturday?
So Henry did a light training session on Tuesday. We'll see where that sits tonight. Bailey Brown, I believe, is still suffering a little bit with what potentially kept him out of the game on Saturday. Although he was on the bench, we, as a precaution, decided that he shouldn't go on the pitch. I think that is still moving along. We'll have to get George to assess that. I've been in touch with George over the progress of that. Mickey, of course, has had his baby, and we wish him and his wife all the very, very best in respect of that. So quite rightly, he won't be here tonight. He's got other things to think about.
Yeah, we're on a Thursday night. Should let the fans know we're having this chat on Thursday night just before training.
Yes. So you know, we wish him many congratulations, a massive thing, and you know, we extend our best wishes from the football club and from the playing side certainly. And I believe Ollie Knight will miss tonight for some personal reasons. So we'll have to pick up where we are. We've got a few things going on, if I'm truthful. But that shouldn't dissuade us away from the fact that we're in a poor situation. We're not. I look at us and I think, you know, certainly the main body of what we had last week is certainly here, and we'll look to formulate what we're doing and push on from there.
Just one more on Chippenham before I move on to a couple of other subjects. What particularly their strengths, and I'm probably ask you weaknesses as well, but I mean, particularly their strength, Gav, what would you say? They might say they're in a forced position. I don't know.
They may do.
Yeah.
They may do. You know, we recognise Chippenham with a team that play good football and have set themselves out to play good football. I see them as mixing it up a little bit this season. I see them with the boy that they've signed up top with the ability to go a bit longer in the game. So, you know, we'll have to be cute about what we do, because we'll see a team that can switch their play in respect of how they play and switching play. And I generally think it's a tough game. I generally do. I'm not going to give too much away about what I think their weaknesses are.
Sure.
But, you know, I can't press on it enough that, you know, the team and a manager that I have full respect for, and we're going to have to be on it.
Now, 3 games in 7 days, Gav, all at home. The London Senior Cup game on Tuesday, Derby against Cockfosters, here at the Daybright. Obviously, you want to win every game, Gav, but how conscious are you of a huge FA Cup game 5 days later? I mean, can we expect some fringe players or academy players to play? Because I might have a chance to speak to you again about that particular game before Tuesday. What are we likely to see, do you think?
Listen, absolutely. The academy boys. So look, I don't want to make light of the competitions and another competition that we might be in. But you know, really and truthfully, you do enter these competitions because you feel you can win them. But also you do have some ulterior motives in respect of bringing some of the really talented academy players through, and they have got some talented boys there, really have. And sort of giving them first team match day experience in these competitions. That's really important for me, because one, I get to see a little bit more about how they function in that environment. They're used to the academy environment, they work on it every day and day in, day out, and that is familiar to them. But how do they come into what would be a very different environment on a first team match day, and essentially go up and play against what would be adults in respect of Cockfosters, and they won't be a pushover at all. They'll be a good side. And it's important for me to see those lads and see where they are at the moment in respect of bringing them through for the first team. I know supporters will want to win every game. I know they want to win every trophy. But you've got to pick your battles, and as you quite rightly say, you know, a massive FA Cup game a few days later means that I only really leads me to look at exactly that way. But, you know, the academy need to play a big part on Tuesday. But of course, we won't just throw the academy out there. We'll be putting a few of the first team out there to sort of glue it a little bit. Excellent. And see where we are.
Excellent. And then of course, someone might say the big one. They're all big really, but against Quorn. I mean, you quite rightly, quite honestly said that, like many of us, you didn't know too much about Quorn, but. I'm sure you've done your homework already. Formidable record last season. They started very well. They knocked out Kettering, who were a renowned non-league cup team, as you know. Your love of the FA Cup is well documented, Gavin, and I imagine that you'll be studying them quite intensively before we get to play them.
Absolutely. I mean, that process has started, but it's not at the forefront of where I am at the moment.
Sure.
Of course, the forefront of where I am is indeed Chippenham and then Cockfosters.
Yeah.
You know, let's get it right. But the process of understanding what they are, who they are, and what they represent has started. You know, everything that I've seen at the moment and everything that I've heard is very complimentary of them. They're a side that seems to be making headway very quickly.
Only lost one league game all last season.
And I think they're a club with ambition that wants to get up the pyramid. So, you know, whereas we could quite rightly look at it and go, it's a step 3 side, we're at home and there's a lot to be said about that. I would be very, very wary about anybody taking them lightly, because I think, you know, in any given cup round, and we saw it in the last round, teams that you expect to go through sometimes don't, because they don't play well enough on the day, and other teams might play really, really well on the day. I think Corn is as good as what we'll face in our league in some respects, from what I know about them. So, in that respect, we're going to have to be good, as we are going to have to be good every single week at Conference South level. I don't see it any different at the moment. I think they've got the tools to undo us if we're not on it. But experience that we have in our team, the defensive record that we have in our team at the moment, really does stand us in good stead. Really does, because they're a team that scored a lot of goals this season, albeit I think a fair proportion of them in the FA Cup early rounds in one game, and we're a team that doesn't let many in, that's for sure. So that'll be interesting, but you know, we've got a tough game in our hands. That's my view, and anybody that takes it lightly will, you know, more for them.
Well, we'll talk about Quorn, I'm sure, one more time before we play them. Just lastly, Gavin, can you tell the fans, give fans any update at all about Jack Bates? If I can ask you about Jack.
Basically, he's been training with us. He's coming back from a couple of injuries that are not easy to come back from. Hamstring injuries that he's actually gone and done twice. And I think from Jack's point of view, we're guided by him. You know, I'm happy to see him here training with us. He obviously knows most of the lads. He's a good lad. We, as supporters, you'll know him from before. But Jack is in a position where he's probably in the later stages of rehab in some respects. He's training well enough, hasn't had any football whatsoever. So we're just going to treat it one day at a time. I speak to him on Tuesday, I'll speak to him again tonight, see where his head's at, and we'll move on from there. But, you know, basically, he's certainly someone that's in and around the place, and we just need to make sure that he's in the right place for when he starts playing football.
Thanks, Gavin. Well, you and I will have another chat after Saturday's game against Chippenham, hopefully having picked up 3 valuable points. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.